And we are live. I'm back, Bish. Fantasy season's heating up. I think that's the highlight of the week, but we've still got the betting, Bish. We're still trying to land some. You're clawing ever closer back to being even. I'm still a mile off, but I've got some fun bets for everyone and hopefully can crawl them back this week. But Bish, you've got some news, I believe.
Yeah, just our unique thing, obviously the punt. For those that are with us on the debrief, we like to celebrate the kickers here. And Robbie Gould just announced that he's hanging his boots up. 18 years, 18-year career. But for me, more impressive, Mr. Clutch. Mr. Clutch. In the playoffs, is 100% in the playoffs. 29 out of 29 field goals and 39 out of 39 extra points. So, when it counts, the business end of the year, Robbie Gould was the man that he could rely on. So, yeah, massive well done to him on his career.
Yeah, well done, Robbie. You've had some great moments, especially against the Green Bay Packers over the years, knocking us out of the playoffs quite a few times when I've been a fan. So, yeah, fair play to you, Robbie. One of the great kickers of the game, 18-year career. Round of applause for Robbie Gould. Bish, how are you doing? Are you excited for this weekend?
I'm good. Yeah, good. As you said, I'm now just one unit away from my head above water. I just can't nail that full house, but I'm close. 2 out of 3. We had to wait an awful long time for Najee to finally get what he needed. The longest game ever in NFL history. Mike Evans and the Bucks came in, and I just absolutely got the Eagles way wrong. I went the unders. The 49ers nearly hit the overs by themselves. So yeah, 2 out of 3. A little bit of profit and tag as well. We were 1 yard away from the first touchdown treble of the year. Just when we thought we had it, Russell Wilson takes it himself. Bit greedy, I thought, and goes over himself. So we're so close, but we're back this week. Tag's back. He's refreshed, ready to go, and looking good. And Joe, you nailed a good one as well last week.
Yeah, Detroit. I think we're both big Detroit fans. I was really happy with this. It was Detroit -4 and over points versus the Saints. And like you said, they needed the rebound after a tough couple of weeks, really. They got some wins, but Jared Goff's not been firing on all cylinders. But he did on Sunday, and now we're happy. Like I said on my one, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen versus the Patriots, one of the worst games ever. Devastated on that one, just an embarrassment of a bet. And then pretty much the same story for Pittsburgh. Obviously, you got your one with Najee, but the rest of the team were awful, weren't they? It's just, I think I'm moaning about the quality of the NFL play this year, but me and Tom Brady are pretty similar with our thoughts. The quality is just not quite there. And I shouldn't have. I'm learning, and I'm hopefully staying away from a lot of people who have. I keep going for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Bish. I've noticed over the months, I go back to them, and I don't know why. I think because they've got a good record and they intrigue me, but they never do that well. And whenever I'm with them, they always let me down. So I've made a new rule. I'm not going near Pittsburgh again for the rest of the year, and I'm hoping I'll start hitting some big numbers on the betting.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, still plenty of time left in the year as well, so look forward to it.
Hey, a couple of them Bet365 bet boosts, and I'm back buzzing. So hopefully I've got a good one for you. But yeah, let's get into it, Bish. Take us straight into your first bet.
Bet 1, then it's Jahmyr Gibbs over 27.5 receiving yards and over 3.5 receptions. And the Lions are coming up against the Bears here. And again, this is the third time we're taking on the Bears with pass catching running backs. We did it in week 9 with Kamara, we were successful. And we did it again in week 11 with Gibbs again, and we were successful. The line's gone up a little bit. It's gone up 6 yards on his receiving yards, but I'm still confident in this one. As I've said the last 2 weeks, for those that are new with us, the Bears, they're very good against the run. They're the best ranked number 1 in the league against the run, but they sell out for the run. On the outside, they play a lot of man-on-man defense, which leaves the running back free for those yards underneath. So the linebacker's got to cover him. So since week 9, they were giving up 62 yards. It dropped a little bit in the 2 previous weeks, but then, Gibbs came up against him, hit 59 yards. It went back up. Last week, it was down against the Vikings. But again, like I said, I'm confident in this. Week 11, Gibbs was 6 out of 6 catches, 59 yards. And since week 7, since he's been back from injury, he's hit both of these lines in 4 out of 6 games. So pass catching running back against the Bears, I'm all over it. So yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs over 27.5 receiving yards and over 3.5 receptions.
I'm a massive Jahmyr Gibbs fan. He's been awesome. I had him in one of my fantasy leagues. I drafted him quite early on my other fantasy league. I should have done it in my one this month, and I've been much more stable, I think, going into this week's game. But yeah, he's awesome in it. I love watching him. To be honest, I love watching this Detroit offense in general. It's a fun offense to watch, and should be a great game. I actually had a bet myself on it. I've got one personally on it, but Bish, you're the man, and I think you've nailed the Detroit Lions this week, and Jahmyr Gibbs doing very well.
Hopefully, yeah.
Well, I'm with you personally as well, so I'm excited. He's been awesome this year, hasn't he, Bish?
He has. He's coming on leaps and bounds, and it's a great 1-2 they've got with David Montgomery. We've said David Montgomery is your north-south. You know what you're getting from him, and Jahmyr Gibbs is your sort of, I throw it about every now and again. Your Swiss Army knife. He can run, he can catch, he's explosive, he can do it all. So, and they're just finding fun ways to get him the ball in space, which is perfect for us.
Yeah, completely agree. I'll take you through my first bet, and I've got the primetime 9:00 game. Bish, it's my fun one that I like to do. I've got Buffalo Bills plus 1.5 and the game in general to be under 48.5 points. This is versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Primetime 9:00. I think we'll all be watching, whether you've got work or training. We'll all be there. What a great game. But I don't think it'll be the best spectacle this week, Bish. The Bills have got things going. Obviously, taking the Jets apart, having a good go versus the Eagles. But I really like this Chiefs defense. I really like this Chiefs defense, and I think they'll be up for it. Obviously, Bills, as I said, they get drawn into playing hero ball, and I think the Chiefs have played against them enough in this big game that it'll be an interesting and good matchup. And then on obviously the Chiefs sides, to explain the under, Patrick Mahomes, he's not struggling, but every other offensive weapon struggling. I think we're not seeing Kelsey slow down. I think we're just seeing him getting double teamed because none of the other receivers, other Rashee Rice, can get slightly open or catch a ball. The amount of drops that Kansas City have every week is outstanding to watch, really. So I can just see this being a defensive grind. I think the Bills are going to run it a lot with Josh Allen. Get his quarterback. He's the number one rated quarterback, number one starting quarterback in like fantasy football. He's scoring loads of points, but I think it'll be about him. They'll try slow it down and beat the Chiefs that way. I thought the Bills were comfortably going to win this. Saw it was plus 1.5, and I thought, wow, I'm having a good bet on that, Bish. So, what do you think?
Yeah, it's poised to be a great game, isn't it? The Bills off a bye. And yeah, the talk has been the Chiefs' defense, young defense, but looked very good. My only concern is Jordan Love and the Packers ripped him apart last week. They did a number on him quite a lot. I think 29 points. I want to say I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, Christian Watson had a couple of touchdowns and they had a big day. So that's interesting to see how they bounce back. We've talked about the Bills and not having much offense other than Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. So can someone else step up? I could. Yeah, it's a fun one to be a neutral on this one. I think I could make arguments either way. I think probably the Bills are the more desperate team. That playoff spot is right in grasp, but a couple more losses and it could be they could be out of that one. So yeah, plus 1.5. I can see it being a very close game. The unders, I'm leaning overs if I'm honest, but I can see the Chiefs on offense haven't, like you said, been great. But yeah, it promises to be a good game. So I'll be interested to see if there's points early or not. That could, like you said to me last week with the Eagles, if there's points early, that could dictate the way this one goes. So yeah, exciting.
I just think I'm just looking through the Bills' schedule here. There's not many times they've actually hit this over. They did obviously against the Eagles in, well, that was like I said 2 weeks ago now. But in general, they don't normally hit this over. They're scoring 22 points, 18, 24 points. Surprisingly, against the Patriots is the one time in the last 4 weeks that it's hit over, other than this Eagles game. The last 5 weeks of the bye, that they've hit the over. I can't explain that one. I can't explain the Patriots getting 29 points, but other than that, I think it will be a tight affair. I can see it being 22, 24 points to about 18. There'll be a couple of touchdowns either way, but both struggle consistently getting that offense. They both playing hero ball, and I think both defenses can really target that number one receiver, obviously in Kelsey and Diggs, and that's what I like about the Packers. Even though there's no number one, there's plenty of options. That I just don't. I can't see this one being an explosive back and forth as we've seen in previous years. But hopefully for the spectacle, I'm wrong. But for the bet, I'm doubling down, Bish, and thinking that it's going to be an under, and there's going to be some turnovers, some silly plays, and a lot going on, and both trying to drag out a win.
Yeah, that's it. Which team's more desperate? I think it's the Bills, but you can see some exciting unders games as well, Joe. So I love a defensive struggle as well. So I'm quite excited either way, I think.
Yeah. You're right. Good storylines either way. Yeah. Bish, take us through your second.
Bet number 2, it's the Eagles money line. The Eagles come up against the Cowboys here, and it's a big game, not only for the NFC East, but in terms of the NFC rankings. The Eagles are currently top of the pile, but the 49ers are one game behind them, and obviously the Eagles are as well. So yeah, a lot at stake, and this will follow nicely after the Bills-Chiefs game. So if you can stay up, if you can get those matchsticks in your eyelids and keep yourself awake, I'm sure you'll be entertained. But I just think there's a big overreaction in price on this one. The Eagles are actually plus 3.5. I've decided money line, even bigger price, and they did get hammered last week, being honest, 42-19 against the 49ers. They started brightly, 2 good drives, couldn't turn them into touchdowns, had to settle for field goals. But from the second quarter onwards, it was just all the 49ers, and they just had their way with them. And looking at the Cowboys, well, the Cowboys are hot. They're 9-3, unbeaten at home, six wins at home, averaging 41 points in those games. So they're absolutely red hot at the minute. But what I'm looking at is they've only played 2 teams on their schedule with winning records as it stands today. And both those games, there were losses. One against the 49ers, where they got hammered, and one against the Eagles, which was a close game, but again, they lost. And for me, that's the narrative that's how I see the Cowboys. I see them as flat track bullies, if you like. They can beat teams who they're supposed to beat, but against the big teams in big games, I just don't think they have enough. Dated back from '95, the Super Bowl winning. They've not been in a championship game since. I remember the Rams booting them out of the playoffs one year as well. So, yeah. But I think it is a good time to come up against Eagles. The Eagles have been on a tough stretch. They've had the Bills, the Chiefs, and then the 49ers last week. And all 3 of those teams have put them to the sword defensively, really. I think the Bills threw on them. The Chiefs run all over them, Pacheco. And then the 49ers last week just did both. So I think there's some good matchups to be had. The CD Lamb, I'm expecting to have a big game. He's been going really well with Dak. I expect that to happen. But on the flip side, and one maybe that's some might question, but I think sometimes your strength is your biggest strength can also be turned into your weakness. And the Cowboys, Darren Bland, he's getting rave reviews, and rightly so. He leads the NFL with 8 interceptions this year. But last week against the Seahawks, against DK Metcalf, for me, he just had a torrid game. He come up, DK just dominated him. He came up with a late interception, which sort of, probably made his stats look a bit better. But I just thought DK was all over him. And we've seen this before with the Cowboys. Trevon Diggs led the league one year in interceptions, but the sort of narrative was he gave up big plays as well. And I think that's the way the Cowboys defend. You know, they're very aggressive against the pass. Micah Parsons gets after you, which allows the secondary to be very aggressive. But I think if you're smart, AJ Brown, I think, is a smart player. Devontae Smith, you can see maybe some double moves, and that aggression could be used against them, and they could get burnt a couple of times here. And in this game, I'm expecting points. You know, I looked at the overs, but I just really like the money line. So, you know, my narrative is, until I see the Cowboys win a big game, I'll just keep betting against them. And, you know, at 2.6, I think that's it's great value for the Eagles. So Eagles money line for me.
Yeah, Bish, I'm with you. The reason I was looking off, typing in about the Cowboys schedule just to double check, and like you said, I was thinking in my head they've not beat a big team, and I wanted to confirm. And you said I should have just waited for you to say it yourself, but yeah, exactly that. I've seen the memes on Trevon Diggs and Darren Bland. You know, when they like the things where it's like they're exactly the same player. Be interesting when Diggs comes back next year how that will work. They're both ball hawks, but they both give up massive plays. So it'd be interesting whether they play them both, or the configuration of the defense will be on the top of my watch list, I think, for early games in the Cowboys next year. But like I said, on to this year, I'm not convinced by them. They just, I don't know, Bish. They just beat the bad teams, and like you said, I don't really know what to say until they convince you otherwise. I think the world's with you, and apparently the betting world's not. Actually, I can't say that. Apparently they must know something we don't, Bish, because the Eagles should be favourites here. They've still looked impressive. The 49ers at full strength have destroyed every team. They've had some injuries that have made them not look as good as they maybe can, but obviously, like you said, against the Cowboys, absolutely destroyed them. They've destroyed the Eagles. I like they're just getting it together. They had a bad week last week, but as you said, they started good, and then the 49ers just do what they do and churned away. And yeah, I'm sorry, I'm highlighting it again, but I'm completely with you. There's not an inch that says Eagles don't be favourites in this one.
Yeah, I think games like this, I think it is good value to bet against the sort of popular bet, which is obviously, I think it's overreaction. Cowboys are great at home, scoring a load of points. Everyone's just seen the Eagles get pumped. All of a sudden, you know, let's get on the Cowboys. So yeah, I think it'll be a good game. Like I said, I think it'll be a high scoring game, but I just think the Eagles, you know, I've not seen Dallas win a big game. So, you know, like I said, I'll keep betting against them until they do.
Yeah, fair enough. On to my second bet, and I think this would be one of two bets for this game. So the Punt viewers, we know what we'll all be watching. I've got Austin Eckler under 28.5 receiving yards and Keenan Allen over 7.5. So a bit of an interesting one. But Austin Eckler at the moment is not being the best receiving down back. He's not being the best running back in general. They're talking about the news is all. You've always got to take NFL news in a bit of vein. But I think Josh Kelly, we're going to see a lot of Josh Kelly. I don't think we're going to see as much Austin Eckler. He's clearly injured. He's clearly not on form this year. There's something up with him. 26.5 receiving yards. I can't see it. I can't see this one. I'll just go over his receiving yards for the rest of the games this year, and there's just nothing in there. Last week, 9 receiving yards. The one where it did was against Baltimore. It was 32. Other than that, 6 against Green Bay. Detroit, he did well. But yeah, his one game that he's really exploded for was Chicago. But that was when Chicago were really struggling on the defensive side. They've got a couple of people back now. I don't think we're going to see heavy Austin Eckler. Clearly, by the last couple of weeks, he's not on it. It's against, obviously, the Broncos, who defensively haven't been brilliant. But it's not his game. We're going to see a lot of Josh Kelly. And from what I've seen in Josh Kelly, he's got potential. He just drops the ball a load. So if he can watch the first half and not see a Josh Kelly fumble, I reckon we'll see a lot more of him throughout the whole game. And much less of Austin Eckler.
Yeah, it rolls into my bet nicely, and I saw that report as well. And for me, the Chargers are just all at sea at the minute. You know, I think off-season changes are coming.
Yeah.
That one line Eckler against the Bears falls nicely into my first bet. What I said about the Bears against pass catching running backs, but apart from that, like you said, it's been a tough year for him. Injuries, poor form, whatever it is, it's been tough. And Keenan Allen, well, he gets all the receptions, doesn't he? As we've spoke about the last few weeks, I think Patriots did a good job last week of sort of nullifying him. You said, at times you can sort of game plan him out the game. That's what Bill Belichick's been notoriously good at over the years. But this week against the Broncos, it'll be an interesting one. The Broncos are pretty good. They're getting better defensively against the pass, but they're a sieve against the run. So, but hopefully, Keenan Allen can still get his.
I think so. Keenan Allen, obviously, he still received 9 targets with 5 receptions, and that's one of his worst games of the year. Obviously, prior to that, that's when he went on an amazing run with 14 receptions, 10 receptions, 11 receptions, 8 again. So, other than New England, who Bill Belichick's still a great coach, especially defensively, can get someone out of a game. Other than that, none others than the Kansas City defense really have really stopped him from doing what he does. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. Like I said, they're getting better at stopping the pass, but I think Keenan Allen's that good. They won't need Austin Eckler that much in the passing game. He'll be running the ball. Mainly Josh Kelly, I think. I think the turnover's happening because something's got to change. He's not been looking good. I reckon they'll run the ball a load. But reception-wise, I don't think it's the game for that. I think for really tough defenses is the one where you see Eckler in the receiving game, because that's what he's quite good at. He's good at getting open in the short downs, and Herbert's panicking because Keenan Allen's got double marked and no one else can catch a ball. So he chucks it down to Austin Eckler. I don't think they'll need him in this role for this game. Could be wrong, but I think both of Keenan Allen does what Keenan Allen does, gets his 8 receptions. Austin Eckler, we don't see as much, and if we do, it'll be in the running game anyway.
Like it, yeah.
No, I'm getting nervous, Bish. I'm not as confident in my voice as I used to be. Take us through your third bet, Bish.
My third one, it rolls nicely into this one. Like I said, it's the Denver Broncos plus 3.5 with Cortland Sutton over 56.5 receiving yards. And again, it's the Broncos versus the Chargers. Divisional game, but the Broncos have been going nicely up until last week. Before last week, they had a 5-game stretch of back-to-back wins, including, good ones against the Chiefs and the Bills. Last week, they come unstuck against the Texans, but were right in it until the end. So they're currently 6-6. Like I said, one win outside the playoffs. The playoff spots, all the wildcard spots are sat on 7 wins. So they've got plenty to play for in this game, chasing that playoff spot. And Russell Wilson, after a bad year last year, he's been cooking this year. He's looked hot at times this year. He had a nice 3-game stretch recently of 3 touchdowns against the Chiefs and 2 in each game against the Bills and the Vikings. So last week it came down to a bit of a halt, to be honest. Maybe burnt the toast a little bit there. I'm trying for cooking analogies, but it's not working. But yeah, but no, he got sacked 3 times last week and threw 3 interceptions as well. One being in the end zone at the end of the game, trying to win it. So, but apart from that, he's looked very good. And then flip side, we just spoke about the Chargers. I just think they're all at sea at the minute. They're 5-7. It's been a poor year. We've just said then the coach is talking about running back options to try and ignite this offense a little bit. But one thing they do is keep games close. 8 out of 12 games have been within 1 score. 4 of them has been within 3 points. So generally they keep things close. That's why I've just sort of edged on that plus 3.5 just to get that extra half point in there in case it is a field goal. But last week we just spoke about 6-0 against the Pats, no touchdown, no offense. And just to go over again, Eckler only 27 total yards on the game. But most concerning, and it probably fits in with what report has come out, he only had 57% snap count, and usually he's up 65-70%. So it's evident there that some changes are going to happen. We're going to see James Kelly, as we've spoke about. One thing going for him is the Broncos is the worst rush defense in the league. They give up close to 150 yards a game. But the Chargers defense, Joey Bosa's out. Khalil Mack has picked it up since then. They're actually ranked third in sacks in the league, sitting on 41 sacks. Khalil Mack has had 2 in each of his last 3 games. So they're bringing plenty of pressure onto Russell. Well, it will be Russell Wilson at the weekend. But the secondary is absolutely getting smoked, left, right, and centre. They're ranked 31st in the league, second worst, giving up over 260 yards a game. So that's where I think Courtland Sutton comes in here. Since the bye, Courtland Sutton's last 4 games, he's covered his overs of. He's covered the line of 56.5 on 3 out of 4, and on 3, the ones that he's covered, he's had less than 4 catches. So he's very an explosive player guy, and this is what I'm looking at here. Against this secondary, can we get 1 explosive play or maybe 2 that gets a chunky yardage, which makes it a lot easier? In these 4 games, he's had his minimum longest catch has been 30 yards. So I'm thinking here 2, maybe 3, and we're good. And if you're feeling extra confident, you can throw him in for an anytime touchdown. He's scored in 9 out of 12 games this year. So, he's definitely the end zone target for Russell Wilson. But I just think overall, the Broncos have just got more to play for. They've got more going for them at the minute. So it's the Broncos plus 3.5 and Courtland Sutton over 56.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, especially like the Courtland Sutton receiving yards. I think that's should be near a lock. Like I said, the Chargers are giving up 3rd most fantasy points to wide receivers in the whole league. So that means not only yardage, that means touchdowns are in there as well. They struggle in the red zone anyway. Obviously, as we said, the Chargers and them cornerbacks are not doing a good job at defending the wide receivers at any point, clearly. So, especially with Courtland Sutton's prowess at getting a touchdown and getting them big chunk plays. I really like that one. Broncos, I think they've both got a lot to play for here, haven't they? I think I like that you're edging it with the 3.5 because they've both got a lot to play for. It probably is a close game. Broncos want to make the playoffs after a bad year last year. Chargers want to prove they're not a stinker of a team, essentially, and not this people with superstars that can't do it on the big stage. So it'll probably be a close affair. But that Sutton one's brilliant, and Broncos, like I said, 3.5. It's a lovely number. Go and attack it.
Yeah, a touchdown is very high. If you want to get a single on his touchdowns, is almost 2-1 on his anytime touchdown as well. So, like I said, he scored in 9 out of 12 games. So he is the man.
We could have seen a best bet Bish Treble there, couldn't we?
I did have a look at it, but at the time of when I did my research, his odds weren't out for the touchdown. So yeah, I'm going to have to wait for that. And but I will be getting on that myself as a single because, like I said, he's the man at the minute.
Yeah. I'll take you through my next bet, and obviously my last bet is the classic Bet365 Bet Boost. Still waiting on that sponsorship. I think I walked past someone saying, "Oh yeah, I'm waiting. That will be coming soon on the street." So news it might be on the way. I don't know, but hopefully within the end of the season. Baker Mayfield over 200 plus passing yards. Chris Godwin 50 plus receiving yards and to get a touchdown. Let's have it. Chris Godwin's not been playing that well this year, but you know who gets his passing yards? Baker Mayfield in the last basically the whole season up until week 6 and onwards, he's only not hit 200 passing yards once, and that's when he got 199 against the Colts. So I think I've covered this one, unless Atlanta's really that good. And they're pretty good, but I think one thing Baker can do is get it to Mike Evans, and Mike Evans alone will get enough receiving yards. It'll be a good one. The one I'm nervous about is obviously the Chris Godwin. This is a punt, as in his girlfriend's done a tweet, got after him, defended Chris, saying they'll get him go, all this stuff. normally when you hear that, the team get him involved. Obviously, in the last couple of weeks, he's made in fantasy terms and betting terms, he's kind of took himself out of it, unless you're going unders. You've got 45 yards last game, 39 the game before, but 54 before that. He's had a tough year. But against Atlanta earlier in the year, he got 12 targets for 6 receptions and 66 yards. So I'm hoping we'll see a bit more of that, and Baker will look after one of his friends on the team and get him a touchdown. It's tough always to predict touchdowns in the NFL. You don't know who that he's going to look at in that red zone. It's whoever's open, whatever's happening defensive wise is really where it goes. So the touchdown I can't predict, but 50 plus, he's already done it against Atlanta this year. The storyline's there for him. I think they'll get him going. They need to anyway if they want any chance of pushing for them playoffs. They've got Mike Evans, the man. They need to see more from Chris Godwin. He's kind of lowering himself out of expectation. This is the one to get him back into it. Be a tough game against Atlanta, but I think it could be a Chris Godwin game back. He's only got 1 touchdown on the year, but with touchdowns you never know, and that's why it's a bet boost, and that's why we've got 5-1 odds on this one. So let's have it.
Yeah, and I saw that report as well. He's last week, I think, who did they play last week? The Carolina Panthers, 3 targets, 0 catches. So, yeah, I saw that come out. And just to back you up there, I think the Falcons' D is good, but you'd like to think Jesse Bates, their top cornerback, will travel with Mike Evans. So, he's best on best there, which leaves Godwin, you'd like to think, with, a bit more open. So, that's possibly what happened earlier on in the season. And like you said, when you see something like that, generally the next week they're force-fed some balls to keep them happy, and this could be the one. So like you said, touchdowns are hard to predict. Going by, like you said, he's had 1 on the year, and it was like week 8, so he's definitely due one. So yeah, so let's hope we can get that touchdown. I think the yards, like you said, if Baker throws, if Baker gets his 200, I think Godwin will be involved, and we'll be very close to that 50.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in the 50. I think, like you said, they'll force feed him a couple anyway. He's normally pretty close. He's getting 45. He just needs 1 good reception here. The touchdowns, like you said, the nervous one. That's unpredictable, and Baker's clearly not looking his way too much. But I'll just edge my bet and say I can't obviously put in a Bet365 bet boost. They're boosted for a reason. They always chuck in one that's unlikely out of the 3 that come up. That's why they tease you into them. But they've teased me, and I think I'm taking that Godwin's going to get a touchdown, and all will be happy families after this game on Sunday.
Nice.
Bish, take us through your last bet.
I've done my 3. We're on to
3. I wanted another from you, Bish.
Another, yeah. No, I've just Cortland Sutton. I'll throw that one out there. Cortland Sutton, David Montgomery double.
Lovely, I like it. Sorry about that, Bish. Like I said, I'm just dying for more. But we've got Tag's touchdown treble. Take us through it.
Yeah, Tag's touchdown treble is Kyron Williams of the Rams, David Montgomery of the Lions, and Zay Jones of the Jaguars. And we've got a price on that one this week. It's coming in at 24-1. So yeah, we're 1 yard away last week, and I'm liking this one. David Montgomery, he scored every week apart from one where he got injured and he come out of the game early. Kyron Williams has looked really good since the Rams bye, since he's been back, and I believe weather's forecasting that to be a wet and windy game, so we're going to see lots of him, I think, on the ground. And then probably the one that boosts the odds is Zay Jones. Obviously news of Christian Kirk pulling his groin. I say last weekend, it was on Monday night. They played Monday night, and obviously the big injury to Trevor Lawrence. So that's a big one, whether he plays or not. So, but one less mouth to feed with Kirk out, and the Jags throw the ball about. Whether it's Trevor Lawrence or CJ Beathard, I'm hopeful.
Yeah, let's have it. Like I said, 2 running backs, I like it. He's playing safe and then going for the big one in Zay Jones. It's exciting. bit unpredictable. I've not heard it. A few names normally come up, but Zay Jones, I don't think he's ever put Zay Jones on a touchdown treble before. That's probably the bit of luck we need, and let's have it.
Yeah, let's bring it home.
Bring it home. Sorry, Bish. Yeah, like I said, sorry for chucking more bets on you than you're prepared.
It's not an official one. So.
We have a good week. As like I said, I think the punt fans will be watching the Chargers v Broncos game since we're both on it. Obviously, also the Detroit game since you and Tag are on it. Should be a good one. Couple of games I think will not be irrelevant, but there's some bad ones mixed in there. We've kept the exciting ones for you. We've got the big games in. Let's watch it. Bills v Chiefs. We've got the Eagles playing the Eagles playing Dallas Cowboys. That they are two of the best games of the year. All the others don't matter apart from the Chargers, and we'll have some good fun in between them all. So yeah, Bish, finish. Give us your ending thoughts, please.
Yeah, we're getting some traction now. You know, things are picking up. So yeah, please subscribe to the channel. Pass it on if you know anyone who'll be interested. Obviously, both best bets and fantasy during the week, earlier on in the week. Again, listen to us on Spotify. Those listeners out there, if you could leave us a review, that'd be great. You know, we'd love that. But yeah, please enjoy your betting this week. Hopefully, we can earn you some pennies and bet safe.
Bish is on fire the past couple of weeks. Viewers, get on with him. He does more research than any man on YouTube. He's the man. He knows his stuff, and he's a sportsman at heart as well. He's a sports player, so he knows his stuff. He's back on the charge, and he's going to win this week positive. I can feel it. You don't have to follow me. Maybe if I hit a treble one time, you can have some fun with me, but get on with Bish. He's the man. Let's have some fun.
Let's do it.
See you, Bish.
See ya.